Welcome to another Unreal Foos tutorial. Today I want to teach you how to shoot a push series from the front. Okay, so as the name suggests, the push shot means that you're pushing the ball and hitting. So you're pushing and hitting, and it's essentially the mirror image of the pull, where you set up the ball over here and you pull the ball and hit. I will say that I think with a pull, it's typically easier to square longs, or even to try to go and do dead bar longs. With the push, it's typically a little bit harder to try to square the ball this deep all the way out to the dead bar. So I really don't recommend spending a whole lot of time trying to master that dead bar, because with this shot, you can definitely be successful with it if you develop good lateral speed to do a good spray long, and also to work inside square holes, and also your straight. So in situations where somebody is trying to sort of give you this reverse defense, it's easier also from this position to do a spray. And so I think that's one of the advantages of the push side, is that you don't necessarily have to try to go out here and beat somebody to a dead hole. You can just spray there, or maybe time your straight. So most of the success with this shot will be really dependent upon how good of a long spray you have, and whether you have a good takeoff speed, and also how well you can read this inside holes and be able to hit those holes in here, and also your straight. For the grip, it's essentially a close-handed grip, and I suggest that's how you learn to shoot it. And pretty much if you know how to shoot a pull with this close-handed grip, it's essentially the same thing. I would keep the same grip and set up your push that way. So when you're going straight, again, it's always important for a pull or a push to set up all the way up against the wall, and have the guy and the ball be right next to each other. That gives you that just makes you a little bit more consistent, as opposed to having a little bit of a gap there, and then trying to time there. And also it makes your straights a little bit easier, because if you're a little bit off the wall, then it's easier for the defender to block the straight. So if the ball is right next to the guy, you really got to practice hitting your straight. And sometimes it's not necessarily such an arbitrary shot that just goes straight, because this is something that you really got to work at, so that you don't hit the walls, or if somebody's sort of giving you a little bit of a race defense, and maybe just making a very tight hole on the straight, that you don't have any type of spray or anything that will hit this guy. So in order to keep the defense honest, you really got to be able to work on your straight, and and to try to avoid hitting those walls. So it's basically going on top of it is being right, having the ball be right next to the ball, and when you're hitting, it's basically you're hitting a really square straight there. And if you look at the motion of my shot, I'm just going pretty much right on top of it, and then just basically trying to push it like that. Sometimes you can work on little fakes like that, just especially if somebody's trying to race you and just sitting there. Okay, then now let's move on to hitting the middles. And what you'll notice is, what you'll see is that even though a lot of people don't shoot this shot as a primary series, when you actually shoot it, people try to defend it sort of more like in a race type of defense like this, as opposed to switching. So a lot of the times you'll see this defense, and that's why it's important to be able to spray it long. But a lot of the times people will just sort of, especially if you hit a straight and it's opened up that hole, then this inside hole is going to be open. So it's very important to be able to hit this either middle, or maybe a two dot square there. So assuming that you do have that hole there, once you go and you set up, and you're right, you really gotta work on this shot, and it's moving it a little bit, and then trying to square it so you're getting on top of the ball and coming down and hitting it. So the faster that, when you practice, try to work on your lateral speed to be able to hit, to able to have good lateral speed and hit some good square shots. Like that. So that's the second option. The other option, obviously, it's moving it, going maybe middle or 3/4 with any of the squares or even long. But as I mentioned, the other more important option of the push is having a spray long, like that. So when you're sitting here and you're basically looking at the defense, once you've established that you can hit the straights or the of the insides, maybe the defense will try to cheat a little bit like that, and so you definitely want to be able to time somebody just moving out of that long, and rather than going all the way and trying to square, you go and you do a nice straight long. If you do want to practice, your square, almost your dead bars, which again I don't recommend, because if somebody's doing this type of post defense, daring you to try to go around it, you're better off just trying to do a little bit of a straight shot right in between those guys, or just trying to time, maybe the goalie guy moving out of the way and going straight. So, but it's usually good to just practice to see if you're able to do it. Again, you just want to be able to go around it and hit. So just practice trying to go around that guy. There's a sneaky option that I like to use once in a while, and it's typically good when somebody gives you a defense like this, a reverse defense. They're blocking the straight, but there's still a big hole here. So when you're setting up, if you want to catch somebody off guard, you just go like this, and you go right behind it. So you're actually hitting with this outside guy. So you're just basically bringing the ball, so with that guy, and then quickly going and slicing the ball in. Other good options is, again, if somebody is, as you're setting up, and you're moving the ball and you're trying to set up, once you're able to sort of read the defense, if somebody keeps just basically moving along with you, especially in this fashion, then you can do a little slice right there in between those guys. This works well when you're doing when you add some of the rolling push options. So much like the pull has rolling pulls, with the push, I typically, when I shoot a push from here, I typically like to set it up that way. I go here, and I look at all my options from here. So I go and I'm trying to set up, but I'm reading what the defense is doing, and so if I see that somebody's not covering this hole and they're just sort of moving back and forth with me, then what I can do is I can sneak a shot in there, and if they do adjust or they are being greedy with this hole like this and following me like from here all the way over here when I'm setting up like that, and if I see that they are sort of staying here trying to prevent me from doing a rolling push long there, then I'll come here and then I'll hit that straight. So it's all a matter of reading that, but it's typically good to be able to do rolling options off of this as well. And you can make this shot, I think it can be just as effective as any other shot when you utilize all of the options here. So, and again, you can also incorporate, if you're going here and you're setting up from here, you can use dinks from here, or you can do just square shots like that. But you can definitely get creative with this shot. But for the most part, you always want to just go set up for your shot and try to read what the defense is giving you. If they are doing a lot of switching like this, concentrate on hitting your straights. Also timing, hitting those middles, and definitely once in a while, or a lot of times, like when you shoot this shot, people will typically try to race you to the long. So that's why it's important to kind of mix in your timing by either doing rolling straight longs or just sitting here and then timing timing those long sprays really well and working on your lateral speed. So you definitely want to work on that because if it's slow, then it's pretty easy to race. Okay, that's all I had for that, and send me any questions or comments, and please subscribe. Thanks.